must raise the debt ceiling in less than 2 weeks, or for the first time in our history, the country goes into default. Joining me now, the Secretary of the Treasury, Jack Lew. And Mr. Secretary, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Good to be with you, Chris.
This week, both you and the president seem to be trying to panic the markets about both raising the debt ceiling and the government shutdown, saying that they should be more concerned. Here's the president.
I think this time's different. I think they should be concerned. When you have a situation in which a faction is willing, potentially, to default on U.S. government obligations, then we are in trouble.
But so far, the markets are shrugging it off. The Dow Jones dropped just 1.2% this week. NASDAQ was actually up more than half a point. Aren't your efforts failing to try to use the markets to put pressure on Republicans to cave?
You know, Chris, it's my job to try to make sure we strengthen the economy, and I spend every day trying to do that. That's why it's so important for Congress to act, to open up the government, to make sure we can pay our bills. There's no question but that if we were to have the unthinkable happen and have the United States default, it would cause real problems. The only question is how serious the problems would be, and there's a kind of range of how bad the consequences are. But why would anyone want to do that to the American economy at a time when the American people are showing their resilience, recovering from the worst recession since the Great Depression? You know, and this is not a new issue. I'm going to quote to you from something President Reagan wrote to Congress, or said to the country, back in 1983. The full consequences of a default, or even the serious prospect of the default by the United States, are impossible to predict and awesome to contemplate. Denigration of the full faith and credit of the United States would have substantial effects on the domestic financial markets and on the value of the dollar and exchange markets. That was President Reagan.
Well, let me quote to you, because the Treasury Department issued a report late this week that said a possible default would be, quote, catastrophic. Here's what your own Treasury Department report said. Credit markets could freeze. The value of the dollar could plummet. U.S. interest rates could skyrocket, and there might be a financial crisis and recession that could echo the events of 2008 or worse.